Just weeks after the Fed Chair Jay Powell repeatedly advertised a half percentage point move, the central bank is now expected to hike interest rates by 75 basis points. Over in Frankfurt, the ECB President Christine Lagarde has lately also turned more hawkish than she previously indicated. So how did so many of the world's central banks get it so wrong? Well, let's get straight to Bloomberg's Enda Curran, who has a great piece on this. Enda, one of our great thinkers, of course, posted over there in Asia. So how did we end up where we are, Enda?
Well, Francine, the shock expectation today that the Fed will go by 75 has really sharpened thinking now about just what has gone wrong with monetary policy around the world. Remember, as you mentioned, only 6 odd months ago, the broad conversation was inflation was mostly supply chain driven and it will be ironed out as we go. Well, that clearly hasn't proven to be the case. Forecasts have consistently proven to be wrong. Forward guidance has proven to be wrong. And central bankers are now racing to catch up as inflation continues to, soar well out of their comfort zone. And we've ended up in a scenario whereby we have what's going to happen today. The Fed expected to move by 75, its biggest since 94, the ECB holding an emergency meeting, and there are significant question marks now about where the world economy is headed. The World Bank is warning it's going to tip over into a long period of stagflation, and a lot of people are saying much of that was down to central banks not acting soon enough when they were being warned both by the data and by financial markets. So there's something of a reckoning happening now in terms of what role monetary policy has played in all of this.
So, Enda, are they able to restore their credibility from here?
Well, this is the big question mark, Tom. I mean, there are two schools of thought in this. There's one camp that says, hang on, if the Fed go by 75 today and go hard and go early and they rein in inflation, that means they're doing exactly what they're meant to do. And the same goes for other central banks around the world. In Australia, they're racing to catch up. South Korea jacking up rates, etc. But, there's this other camp saying, wait a minute, the whole point is that they're going to push up rates to the point now that's punishing for households and punishing for business people and will, in fact, end up creating economic destruction, bringing the pandemic recovery to an end, and as I mentioned, tipping the world into this kind of risking this long period of stagflation that the World Bank is warning about. So I think there are question marks over credibility. I think markets have already sailed on, Tom, from central banks, and I think there probably is still a long road ahead for central banks to win back the trust of both markets and households and companies.